I am Neil Larthos. I am the next Abdullah. You are the next Neville Goddard. Your SP gets wet every single time they think of you, and your bank account makes Jeff Bezos look homeless. The psychology of people who manifest money. Okay? Now, I remember when I was a kid. One day, I was in the car with my mom, and I had this habit of playing with those, like when you go to like the grocery store in the toy section, and they have the toy $20 bills and the $10 bills. They look, almost identical, but of course they're like fucking, half the actual size. Well, I remember I was just fascinated at like collecting those and just pretending like I had that money, right? Little did I know I was actually already fiddling with the fabrics of manifestation just by pretending in my imagination, right? But I remember my mom caught on to this right away. And I'll never forget, I even remember the exact street that we were driving down. That's how much this was ingrained in my memory. But I was playing with the toy money, and I remember her telling me, Neil, I don't want you to get hooked on money. I don't want you to become obsessed with money, because those who become obsessed with money will become greedy, and it can be very dangerous. And she said it in a very strict tone. I mean, she wasn't being like a jerk about it, but I mean, she made me almost feel kind of bad. And ever since then, I grew up. I was like, what, maybe 5 years old, 6 years old. It was when I just moved to this city. And I grew up with the subconscious feeling that being attached to money is wrong. And some might say, well, that's a limited belief. But really, I believe being attached to anything is wrong. But because this was something that put me at risk as a child of having a close relationship with my mother, otherwise, if she saw that I was becoming obsessed with money, she would have started to judge me for it. It ended up becoming a habit that I was just detached from money. And for the rest of my life, I almost never really had this feeling of lack with money. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I was fucking a millionaire, but just the simple fact that I had this natural detachment from money, it was so clear that while all my peers were afraid to, when they were in the lunch line and they realized that the chicken tenders were an extra 75 cents, there they are eating the shitty, hamburgers that look like if they got it out of the lunch lady's asshole, right? And there you are eating like a gourmet, Jeff Bezos with your pizza slice and the chicken tenders. And they're like, hey, where did you get that? I'm like, dude, where the fuck else, from the fucking cafeteria? And they're like, oh, but why would you get that? I mean, you can just save 20 cents by getting the cheeseburger. And I would be looking at these motherfuckers like, that's not the way money's supposed to be spent, dumbasses. Like, I don't understand. It's not meant to stay in your fucking pocket. Like, what is this? This is not fucking collectibles, But I always would notice that, whether it was my peers, whether it was other people. Dude, this freaking whore just keeps fucking texting me. My goodness. But either ways, sorry, folks. Whoever it was, I noticed that there was always this scarcity mindset when it came to money, right? And you're probably thinking, well, Neo, it's just because you were detached from money. But you see, it wasn't just the way that I felt about money. It was the way that it just simply came to me. I remember when I just got a job as a cashier at a restaurant. As a matter of fact, it is literally 2 buildings away from where I'm sitting at right now. My very first job that I've ever had in my life is just right back there. Now, actually, it's no longer the same restaurant. They changed it to something else because it lost business. But no matter, either way, it was my first job. And when I started, I was only getting part-time because I got hired on their second day of opening the place, and by that time they already had a full house, right? But because they saw that I was a that I was willing to work and I was available and flexible, they, I guess, saw me as a good candidate, right? Well, most people, when they get a job, what are the two mindsets that they usually have? What is the psychology of those people who don't manifest money, right? It's this feeling of lack. It's this mindset of, hopefully I can get enough hours. Honestly, a lot of it is, I want all the money and all the pay raises you can give me, but I don't want to work on Saturdays. I don't want to work on the weekends, you fucking lazy bitches. Okay? How the fuck are you supposed to pay your bills if you don't want to make sacrifices? I don't fucking get that. But either ways, that's another fucking video, right? But me, I just kind of I was just happy to be working, because at that point I wasn't really going out at that age. I still was really focused on schoolwork, and I was glad to have sort of a kind of a social life, because I was going to be working with other people, right? And not to mention, one of the girls there was a hot babe. She was like, twice my height, and I don't know what it is about tall girls, but they just love the short king. Okay, but either ways, don't even get me started. I even remember she was like, "Oh, you're so cute." Okay, but either ways, Neo, you're getting off topic. I wasn't really making that much money because it was part-time, right? And I even noticed that there was other workers there who would just be on their phone talking while I'm doing all the work, and they were the ones getting the full-time hours, right? Well, without me having to try, because I had this detachment to money, and because it was not something that I was chasing, I remember I would get calls from my boss telling me that Billy over here called in. Do you want to pick up some extra shifts? I always said fucking yes. And that ended up turning into me getting promotions. That ended up making me the guy who, whenever they were thinking of making a cashier into another position, they thought of me. Next thing you know, I became a manager at that store. Next thing you know, they shut down because they lost business, but they end up transferring me as a manager to one of their more successful branches of the company. And that's where I am right now, and that's where I've been for the past, okay, how old am I? 80 years of my life. So I got all these promotions, all these pay raises, not just because I have the best work ethic of all time, which of course I do, right? Better than Floyd Mayweather combined with fucking Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, and Tom Brady, okay? I put those motherfuckers to shame, right? But because I was detached from money, because think about it, I still remember I would be in the nurse's office right before I got arrested. That's another story for another day. But I remember I was in the nurse's office as a nurse aide in high school, and sitting on my ass doing nothing. I wasn't doing any resuscitation, although, well, depending on who it was, I wasn't doing any resuscitation, right? No CPR. But then I would get the phone call. Hey, we got a shit for you, okay? Just like calling Ghostbusters, right? But why? Because I was detached from money. Do you think that the psychology of someone who doesn't manifest money, right? And by the way, manifesting money is not just walking down the street and you see a $100 bill, okay? I was manifesting money right there when they were giving me shifts, okay? Because hello, that's more money, right? But you see, that's another thing, is we have this black and white idea of manifesting money, manifesting an SP, manifesting a physical appearance change. Like a lot of you guys who want to manifest weight loss, you guys think that you might have to diet. You guys think that, oh, but that means I have to go to the gym. No, how about you go to your end and you expect the unexpected to happen? What if you end up taking this new fucking steroids that actually Alex Rodriguez could take and he won't get banned, and you're their first guinea pig of the experiment? It goes well, and now the gyms start losing fucking business because you proved that you can lose weight by being a lazy ass. Expect the unexpected. Money came to me out of nowhere, even currently as a manager, right? You want to talk about the psychology of someone who manifests money? I manifest on autopilot because I have this detachment to money, because whenever my mom told me that day, when I was driving down North Beach Street, okay, passing a golf course that was connected to an apartment complex, on my way to the Tex-Mex restaurant, I said, you know what? It's not, money is just a piece of paper. It's not worth ruining my relationship with my mother. And whether or not that's agreeable, okay, it showed me that I was better than money, that there is more important things than money. And because there are more important things to money, that's when money said, okay, never mind, please. Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me. I was wrong. Please take my money. Okay? It came back. Like even today as a manager, right? I remember one time I was, living paycheck to paycheck, and I didn't have money for gas, right? And I'm driving the Honda Civic, right? And I was like, fuck, dude, I'm gonna have to ask for some help for gas, right? All of a sudden, I get off my lazy ass and I start helping the dining lady do tables. I find a fucking AJ underneath the damn napkins. And it was just like fucking that, okay? I remember when I was smoking weed in high school. I found a 20 at the ATM. What the fuck? Who the hell leaves a damn 20? Nobody does. But when it's Neo and he's detached from money, you find it everywhere, okay? And that was back when I had the hookup. Now it's just like, well, thank God I quit, right? You see, the same thing can happen to you with SPs if you detach from them, right? But now that you know the detachment is the key to the guy who manifests money, to their psychology, right? How do you detach? I'm going to quote my fellow Abdullah. Many of you guys know of him. His name is Eric from The Power of I Am. I love how he points out that one of the best ways to detach, and of course there's many different ways. You can fucking do yoga in India. You can, play a sitar upside down. Or you can understand that you are God, you are source, that you are not the mind, that you are not the body, you are just the observer of that mind and said body. And when you realize that everything you see in your reality physically with your eyes, whenever you see the available balance on your bank account, that is something that you observe with your eyes, right? But you are not what you see with your eyes. You are not even the person's eyes themselves. You are not that person, right? You are not the character who you see in the mirror, who you think you have been this whole 30 plus years of your life, right? Well, the same way that you think that you're this character who has the 9 to 5 every single day, who you think you have been these 30 plus years of your life, is the same way that you can tell yourself that you're somebody else for the remaining 30 plus years in your life. And where do you do that? In your imagination. You go in your imagination and you tell yourself that, no, my bank account does make Jeff Bezos look homeless, okay? Money does grow on fucking trees, and I'm the fucking forest, okay? You tell yourself crazy things like that, and don't just say them when you're brushing your teeth or before bed. I gotta fart. Before bed or right when you wake up in the morning. Yes, that is true, that it is when your subconscious is the most active, but you want to know also when your subconscious is the most active? Whenever you're going through doubt. Whenever you are in the middle of needing to pay a bill, or you're in the line at Starbucks and you're sweating because you realize, oh shit, I think I'm fucking broke right now, right? The embarrassment, the feeling of they're gonna see my card decline, right? That is when you tell yourself that the only reason why it's not taking my fucking card right now is because I have a pending transaction of $2 million worth of crypto stock. Okay? The only reason why is because they don't accept double platinum MasterCards over here, because Starbucks is not worthy of my royalty. Okay? Or you can just simply say, oh shit, I have so much money on this card, I can pay for everybody. Matter of fact, imagine yourself right now, even though your card's declining, go to your imagination and imagine yourself paying for the next 10 people behind you in the line. Even though you have to end up driving off and you know, feel the sweat off of your brow because of how embarrassed you are because your card declined. But instead of just making fun of yourself like all of us do, just go to your imagination, because it's the same thing. Your subconscious doesn't understand the difference. The most active, in my opinion, more so than the morning or at night before bed, the most active your subconscious is when you, and I know I was going to talk about Eric, but I wanted to say this. The most active is when you were in the heat of the moment, right? It's like when we're watching a big boxing fight that we've been seeing, and we're seeing the training camps beforehand and all the shit talk and the build up of the fight, you know. All these fighters, you know, you see him running on the mountain, you know, and he's doing the jump rope and he's talking about, this is the biggest fight of my life. Man, I don't know. Everybody's counting me out, but, you know, I don't know. I just feel different about this guy. I just feel different about this camp. You know, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm on top of the world, right? And then what happens when he's actually there on fight night? It's like all that shit goes out the fucking window. You can be doing that shit in the morning. You can be doing that shit at night when it's easy, when you're not seeing your bills pop up. But the most active your subconscious is going to be is when you were in the heat of the moment. Okay? When your card is declining, when you actually are getting that eviction notice. Okay? You got to ask yourself, can you get to the point where you can get evicted in the 3D, but be a billionaire in the 4D? Why do we put these physical things on a pedestal when we know how quickly life can change in a heartbeat? I mean, even before I became the best manifestation coach on YouTube, I was well aware of just how funny life is, right? But going back to what I was going to say of Eric, he's always said that the best way to detach is to understand how reality works. And when we know that everything is just a physical manifestation of our past assumptions, then we know that, for instance, when we are getting a bill that we can't pay, it is simply a reflection of either a thought that we had, where what if I can't pay this bill, or maybe even a fearful imaginal act where we saw ourselves getting evicted. But to be fair, maybe most people don't do that. But it could also just simply be that you have this assumption that money is hard to get by. Well, if money is hard to get by, and that is an assumption that you have built yourself on since childhood, remember what I said about the assumption that I built based off of my mom telling me not to be greedy when I was playing with the fake money from Kroger's. If it's an assumption that has been ingrained to you since childhood, right, and your parents were like, thou shalt only use coupons and never pay full price, right, then even if you robotically affirm 100,000 times every second, you're not going to manifest money worth of shit until you fix your assumptions. I'm going to say it right here, right now. This is going to be the first time I say this on this channel, but I believe that no matter how good your imaginal acts are, no matter how powerful your affirmations are, if there is an assumption that goes unchecked, it is like you getting that access denied block whenever you are trying to, you know, enter into one of your favorite streaming services. I don't know. Or whenever you you know, now that we're on the topic of money, like the other day, they for some reason declined my bank account, even though it had money on Amazon. I think because I had a pending transaction of $2 million in crypto. And it's kind of like that. It's kind of like you can have the money, but they block access because it's something that goes unchecked. If you have assumptions that don't go unchecked, you will not manifest the money that you want. Okay? And you're probably saying, oh, but this motherfucker is not going to actually tell me how to check my assumptions. He's just going to tell me that and expect me to understand it. I'm not like one of those manifestation coaches. Okay, trust me. I hate whenever I'm watching those videos and they tell you, dude, just believe, just visualize, just fucking, but they don't fucking explain. I'm gonna fucking explain. Okay, how do you change your assumptions? You manifest the change of said assumption. That's it. Remember, we are in the fucking manifestation sphere. You do not just have to manifest. You don't just have to manifest love or money. You can manifest a fucking fart out of your ass. Okay? And if you can manifest a fart out of your ass, you can manifest an assumption being changed. So there's many ways you can do it. You can literally imagine, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm always thinking so much, whether I'm taking a shit, whether I'm in the shower, whether I'm daydreaming and not helping customers at my job. So for me, I would just imagine me daydreaming, not helping customers at my job, looking at the mirror like I always do because I'm an ego narcissistic asshole. And I would just imagine myself saying, wow, I remember when I used to think that money was hard to get by. And now it's like money comes easy. And I would just keep looping that in my head. And the best part is, if you're going to do something like that, where it's just you daydreaming, do the imaginal act. First of all, do it in first person, because if you do it in third person, it just almost, especially if you're new to this, it won't work. Okay. Like I always say, you when you're playing Call of Duty, you don't see the barrel of the gun, you see the hands of the person, of your character carrying the gun. It's the same way in the 3D. Okay, that's how you experience the 3D. The way you experience 3D, that's the way you want to do your imaginal acts. Okay, but either ways, I would do the imaginal act in a location where it is almost like you go there all the damn time. Like, for instance, you doing the laundry, or your same station that you work at the cubicle in your office, whatever. Okay, if you work at a cubicle, 5 days a week, if someone tells you to imagine yourself picking your nose in the cubicle, even if you don't pick your nose, it's going to be pretty easy to do that imaginal act, because you are so accustomed to that being on your ass in that cubicle that it's like the back of your hand. It's second nature. So the more second nature the environment is to you, the easier this imaginal act will be. And that's the best part about when you're manifesting an assumption change. It's all right here. You can do it whether you are taking a shit or whether you're at work. So that's what I would do. Or you can do like I used to hear from Joseph Eli talk about a lot of the times, where he says you can just imagine yourself having a conversation with someone who you would be talking about shit like this with, like a very trusted friend, and you can just have a conversation where they say, so how are you with money? And you say, dude, I used to be so afraid of losing money, and now it's like money just comes to me. Money, I attract money all the damn time. I always have enough. And then repeat that again. I always have enough. Hey, bro, how are you with money? Oh, dude, I used to be afraid of money. Now I always have enough. Now I always have enough. Now I always have enough. Repeat it, slow-mo. Now I always have enough. No. Do a remix. No. Everything. And do it until you impress the subconscious, okay? And before you guys ask, I knew you were going to ask this. Fucking bastards. What does it mean to impress the subconscious? The same way I don't have to tell you what it feels like when you have an erection, or ladies, when you look at me, is the same way that I don't have to tell you what it means when you impress the subconscious. Okay? You will know. So until you get that feeling, okay, that spidey sense, keep fucking doing it. Keep hammering at it. So most of you guys probably do need to change an assumption about money. And I would change it to what my assumption is, because this is coming from a guy who I don't think I ever once really truly felt like I was afraid to lose money. I don't have enough. I mean, like I said, I'm not a millionaire. But it seems like whenever I need money, right? Whenever I'm in the NBA finals and I need the three-pointer to drop, you know, someone always comes in clutch, right? And what I mean by that is I always end up finding a way to get money. And no, I don't sell drugs, okay? Even though I might look like a, you know, with this, you know, the gangster, you know, fucking wannabe gangster kind of outfit here. No, okay? Literally, if it has to happen, I will find money. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I found money. Or when somebody offered to pay for my gas or buy me a coffee or whatever, right? Or one of the more common ones is maybe it was like a bill that I need to pay and there was a way to work around it, or you know, they didn't give a fuck about the late fee or something like that, right? Because again, money doesn't have to be where you just stumble upon it on the ground, right? Or even a pay raise. It could just simply be that whatever you needed to use that money on, you end up getting somehow, some way. Because that's really what money is. I mean, that's why I always say that when there was those fuckers at school who didn't want to pay an extra 75 cents for my gourmet dinner, right? My chicken tenders and pizza, when I was the only one eating gourmet, it's not that I was fucking rich. It's because those idiots were too afraid to spend more money, right? Because their mommy and poppy were giving their lazy ass $20 a pop every single month for allowance, and they were hoping that they could stretch that out until next December. Dumbasses. Okay? And that's another thing too, and I know people are going to disagree with this, but don't be so ready to use your coupons. Okay? Again, there's nothing wrong if you can save money, but when there's like this thing of like, oh fuck, I mean, I really want to get my Garnier Fructis shampoo, but you know, over here it's 75 cents more than the one at Walmart. Fuck, dude. I guess I'm going to have to drive all the way 20 minutes over there just so that way I don't have to spend 75 cents. It's like, look how much you're putting money on a fucking pedestal, bro. Look at the money you're going to waste in fucking gas going all the way over there just for the 75 cent pay cut. Come on, man. Detach. Stop telling yourself the money is hard to get by. Stop telling yourself that the more you spend, the less you'll have. And just tell yourself that whether it's cash, whether it's crypto, whether it's debit, whether it's fucking Affirm monthly payments, whether it's OnlyFans money, you always find a way and you always have more than enough. Okay? But that's it for this, guys. Let me know what you guys think about these videos, if I should make more of these psychology of videos. Until then, folks, I am Neil Lartos. This is all that the I'm Awareness had to say. And I know you're going to be okay.